Hello and welcome to my creating project. My name is Natalie Mikulski and these are my topics that I did for class this year for our creating project. The first one is a combination of the application Write About This and KidBlog. I did this as a creative writing and used it for a fall personal narrative writing piece using detail. This is the first big, huge writing piece unit my third graders do as soon as they come into third grade. I also did Edmodo, and for Edmodo I combined a few other websites that I'm going to get more into detail when I talk about Edmodo. I'm breaking up this screencast into two different parts because I feel if I just did one it would be really long, so I just feel that it's better and more beneficial if I break it up. I did these two topics because they promote team building skills and collaboration for higher order thinking and deeper thinking. And for the Edmodo one, which I'll talk more about, I use gamification to make learning more fun and engaging for students to turn in their work and work as a team, which are two things that are very important for our students to do. So without further ado, the first topic will be Write About This in KidBlog, and as I said, I combined them. Yes, this really is a screenshot of my students' KidBlog that we did this year. This is the screenshot of Write About This from the application that I just took offline. It's not the picture that I took myself. So Write About This is an application. It's a new application made by Bob Armbruster. I could be saying that wrong. And Brad Wilson from Michigan. It's only used on the iPad, which is kind of a downfall because not everybody has an iPad. It has a free version that limits some of the features, but is still really helpful and useful, so don't let that scare you away. It does have a full version that costs $2.99 to $3.99 depending. This application is used to promote writing and will help promote collaborative skills and different writing styles that will improve students' writing. The second one that I'm using is KidBlog. It was founded in 2010 by Matt Hardy's 4th grade class. KidBlog is a safe place that prides itself on keeping the students' work private and only the students from class are allowed to view the blog. KidBlog allows students to develop stories and pieces of work using the writing process and applying writing skills. Students can also develop deeper thinking and deeper understanding of writing using KidBlog. So I'm going to be using Write About This in the writing process as the first steps, just basic creative writing. Students will pick some prompts and then they'll just start writing ideas down. They can use many prompts as they want for a couple weeks. And then KidBlog will be used in the writing process as well. And this is where they'll be able to draft out their ideas. Students will go on and they'll start pair editing, revising, drafting on there. And then students will be able to share their work with me for a teacher conference and then we'll wind up publishing and making them look really nice and fancy. So every year, my third graders spend a month writing a creative writing piece all about fall. Yes, it does take a month. Yes, you will pull all your hair out because it will drive you insane. The purpose of the assignment is to have the students create personal narrative writing fall pieces using detail and description. This is to promote creative writing, encourage peer editing skills, applying writing skills that are in the classroom, and also encouraging teamwork. I made this saying or pretending, I guess, but it's not really pretend because I do want to do it this year. I made this for a class that students meet every day face-to-face. I wanted to make it really easy because this is the first project that they'll do as soon as they're coming off for summer vacation. So this will all be done in the classroom with the teacher there holding their hand step by step because this is their first big major writing piece, so make it easy. A brief description of the lesson plan. I'm going to have my students create fall writing stories using the writing process. This will take about 3 to 4 weeks. I'm using Write About This as the inspiration and the draft part in the writing process. I'm using KidBlog as the editing, sharing, and conferencing part in the writing process. The final project will be printed out and hung in the hallway for the parents to view during parent-teacher conference time. The technologies and resources needed for this are iPads, especially, or iPad, especially if you're going to be using Write About This. Any internet device for KidBlog, your Chromebook, your laptop, your desktop computer, we have to share them with everybody, which is kind of sad. So it'd be nice if you had technology for everybody. Basic knowledge of how to work both KidBlog and an iPad are important. It's not required, but any multimedia such as headphones, cameras, microphones, these can help and aid in the process of their writing, depending if you want to use it or not. So it's not required, it's just an idea I thought to have. Teacher skills and knowledge. Basic knowledge of a computer. They have to know how to turn it on, what to do if something happens. They need to know and be able to teach navigation of both Write About This and KidBlog. Features and skills for both KidBlog and Write About This. It's important to set up security settings. My KidBlog is 100% set up to where anything my students post has to be approved by me, no matter what it is. And I like it that way because you don't want to be off on vacation and all of a sudden you have a parent calling you saying their child has some inappropriate material on their schoolwork. So that is why I have it set up to just me approving everything. The teacher needs to know how to engage and purposely use technology in their classroom to enhance instruction. This is very important because this is not a game for students to be playing. This is not where, oh, I need a break, just shove them on the computer for half hour. This is something that they need to do to learn the skills that they can apply from class and transfer those skills on for their later learning in life. You're going to use the writing process from now forever, so this is important that they know how to use the computer properly. Prior skills and knowledge for the students require basic computer and internet skills, navigation skills, minimum keyboarding skills. I feel that they need to be very proficient with this because you're going to have to type. Although you can, if you have students with a disability, there are ways to set up things for those. Basic internet safety, yes, the students will be posting things and we definitely don't want them making friends with somebody that mom and dad don't approve of, so we need to make sure they know how to be safe. Advanced skills, tagging, hyperlinking. My students did do a lot of hyperlinking this year. I didn't teach them that. They actually figured it out on their own, but it is nice. Embedding files and images. My students knew how to do that too without little help from me. Media as well. This will just enhance the writing process and making them love to write, so that's important. And of course, digital literacy and citizenship is also important. Students are asked to produce a personal narrative fall writing piece using detail. They'll accomplish this by using Write About This for free creative writing, also applying daily skills. So I plan the first week, like I said, just letting them write about whatever they want going on. They can pick the prompts that they choose. And then the second week, having them still choosing different prompts, but applying things that we learn in class, such as like their spelling words or capital letters or maybe a basic sentence. So having them apply that to their writing, excuse me. And then the third week is when they'll go ahead and publish it on KidBlog and have their friends peer edit it for them. They will use KidBlog for the drafting, editing, teacher conference, and publishing their work. Steps. First, the teacher uses their iPad and downloads the application Write About This for the class. The teacher needs to make each student their own profile because once they're finished a piece, they have to save it to their account. I don't know if I'm going to do this. I personally do not like Write About This, how it has it saved. It's a hassle, to be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to do this. I think my students are going to use the good old-fashioned pen and paper just because I like it a lot better. The teacher shows the students how to use the application and the features. Each student will view and have the same option on the home screen. When the students first sign on, they need to go to the search option. It looks like a magnifying glass. This is where the students will find the different prompts. The prompts are all different. You have some prompts that are just pictures. You have prompts that are just text. So that's great because as you know in your classroom, you're going to have your high students, your middle students, and your low students. So this is for all of them. Also, on Write About This, they have prompts where it can be read to the student, so in case they want to do a reading one and they're just not a good reader, they can go ahead and listen to it. They also have it where the students can take the iPad themselves and capture pictures and write about that too. So it's a lot of fun. I think that'll engage the students. Due to limited technology, it is best if the students write their answers to their prompts on a piece of paper. But if you have iPads for everybody, then go ahead and let them do it on there. What I was thinking about doing is I have one iPad, as I said, so I'll put one student on the iPad, let them write down what they're thinking on a piece of paper. Another student can show me their prompt too, and what I'll do is using the iPad, I'll put it up on my data projector using Apple TV. and I'll freeze the screen so that way that student can look on the data projector screen to see their prompt, so I can have 2 students at a time, but yet again, they have to use paper. After the first week, the teacher needs to start making a KidBlog account. You can do this prior. They need to make an account for the class as a whole, or each student can have their own username and password. I went with that for my students, letting them each have their own username and password. Just make sure you write it down a million times because they will forget it. Then you need to make a URL. KidBlog actually makes it for you, and then you have to teach your students how to do that. It's really hard for some of them, especially 3rd graders. The older, I think it'll be better. Then you have to teach them how to navigate the home screen, how to use different features such as posting, commenting, looking and seeing who's posting and commenting on their work. Let them play around for a couple days before jumping into it. Finally, once you're done showing them how to navigate, let the students submit their first post. The teacher needs to tell the students to use their favorite Write About This creative write to share with the class on KidBlog. Students will comment on their classmates' work, stars and wishes, 2 stars and 2 wishes. For those of you who do not know, stars are things that students did great, and wishes are things that you wish they did better. The author of the paper will edit the paper on KidBlog. Using the submitting feature, the author will submit their work to the teacher for a face-to-face conference. After the conference, students will rewrite their work and turn it in for a grade. Advantages and disadvantages of KidBlog and Write About This. Advantages is it is less stressful on the teacher. Many different reasons. First off, when you use Write About This, there are tons of prompts. So you're not sitting there at your desk a week before thinking of prompts for your students. Have you ever jumped in leaves? Do you know what a pumpkin is? So there's tons of different things. Secondly, the teacher is not the only person peer editing the student's paper. Finally, everybody in the class gets the peer edit, and it makes it more of a collaboration for the whole class. It has some deeper thinking because students are thinking how can they help their fellow classmates, and also applying skills. We'll learn about some writing process skills along the way, and students will be able to apply that. Safety features, as I said, KidBlog is really prides itself on being safe. Sorry about that, my students need to go to a library. And then it also encourages them to write. The disadvantage is students cannot specifically point out the issue. So if a student spelled a word wrong, they cannot click on that, highlight it, and say this word is spelled wrong. They would have to say, Johnny, in line 4, word 3, you spelled dog wrong. It's spelled this way. Unlike Wikispaces, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a second, what I'm talking about, and give you a better idea. It's using 2 different tools. KidBlog and Write About This are not linked together. They're not sold together. They weren't supposed to, but I feel like they work well together. And it may be hard for some teachers to transfer the work that their student is doing on the iPad over to KidBlog because you'll have to email it, go from the email, take it, and copy and paste it onto KidBlog. They may find that a little bit too much work. Depends on the teacher's skill as well. Some classes are lacking technology for all students. As I said, I don't have enough iPads for my class or desktop computers. So unfortunately, like I said, the most I could probably do is 2. And of course, time. It's going to take time for them to write everything down and transfer it. So going back to this one where the students cannot specifically point to an issue, I'll come back to my PowerPoint here, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So if you go on to Wikispaces, this is my Wikispaces from a few years ago, and if you notice, this student made a comment. It says, I have a ton of friends. So when the author comes on, he gets these little posts of these little, I guess you can call them happy faces, I don't really know what you call them, and you just click on it, and it hides it. If you click on it, it will highlight what the boy wanted to let him know, and he wrote a comment like, wow, really? Or if he clicks here, you know, he's just saying, yo, so do I play Pokemon too. So this shows them specifically what they're talking about. Unfortunately, KidBlog doesn't have that option, and that's kind of bummer because it would be nice if they did have that one. So that way they knew what you're talking about. Effective instructional strategies. Modeling is important. The teacher is going to need to model students how to do the assignment, especially if you plan on doing your writing this way for their whole school year. I was thinking that it might be a good idea to team up with like older classes and then have the older teacher, like maybe a 5th grade teacher, like draft out a fall writing piece, tell her to mess that all up, pretend she's a 3rd grader. and then submit it to me, and then in front of my class model think about or think out loud and model how you would edit and fix it and what your stars and wishes would be for this teacher. I think students would love that. Demonstration's important because this is your first big major project of the year. So what you do this time will set the tone for the whole year. So model to the students, basic skills, sentences, capital letters, period. Those are all going to be very important. Clear instruction, I said maybe making something like this, a screencast. This will be something I'm definitely going to hold my students' hand and teach them how to do this step by step. So clear instruction is important. As I said, maybe making a video or audio for the kids to listen to. It'll just save you a headache. Transferable, Kidblog, and Write About This are two friendly technologies that all teachers can use. I feel even if you have basic level, you could totally do this. Kidblog and Write About This have features such as video and audio that all classroom settings can use, even special education classrooms. There are no limits as to what subject or content both these technologies can be used for. Write About This has prompts for every subject, every level, every content, no matter what, they have it. As you'll see in my kids blog when I show it to you here, you'll see some of my students post from math and science to social studies and reading. And then I even have some weird things that they just wanted to write about on their own, their creative rights, I guess you can call them. So I have those on there too. These are great technologies because it encourages teachers to move away from the traditional style of learning and be more of an innovative teacher, which that's what we should do. We need to kind of start moving to being innovative because that's what our students expect. So let's meet Write About This and Kidblog. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to work Kidsblog. When you come onto Kidsblog, you can either sign in just by typing Kidsblog into the URL and then signing on through Kidsblog, finding out your personal URL link. So this one's mine, I already know it. I normally put this one up on the board for my students to type in and practice because it's a lot easier just typing in the URL instead of having them search by my email address. When they come and put the URL in, they then go to a home screen where they have to find their name and enter their password. Then they'll come on to your home screen or their home screen, which is pretty much what you designed it to look like. And this is where students will have a home screen. They can see recent posts made by their classmates. They can see comments. Comments are shown by these little call-out bubbles. And I like to distinguish my assignments from my students' assignments by always putting a picture of a header. It did work in the beginning, but then my students start to figure out how to add headers to their work as well. So that was one way in the beginning that I used. So for the fall writing assignment, the students already would have their prompts that they drafted on paper. And now what they're going to do is they're going to come onto Kidsblog. And as I'm going to say, I call it Kids with an S. I totally understand it's not Kids blog, it's Kidblog. So just bear with me if I change the name every now and then. Anyway, they find the assignment, they click on it. On my assignments, I always post to them kind of like a Blackboard or discussion board what I want them to do. And I'm telling them here that I want them to take their prompts from Write About This and I want them to now start typing them so that way other students can see their prompts. My students, I always let them have the option of they can comment their work below. So they can post comments here, which meaning they can go ahead and type their whole fall story. I'm just going to do a preview because I want to use an example here. So then they can comment. I also let them, and some of my students like to do it this way, they go back to the classroom and then they click New Post up here. Every student does have this option. It does look just like mine. They'll click New Post and then they title it, and I always tell them to title it the assignment. Some of them will be a little narcissistic and write their name, but they may just write, fall story. Then this is where they will write their fall story. And then they can add fancy things like they want to upload videos, hyperlinks, whatever they want to do. I always let them do it here. And then if my students need more time because maybe they want to check it or edit, they can hit draft, and this won't send it out to everybody. They can come back at a later date and fix and edit what they want to do. They can review it to see what they wrote, what it would look like if they were to post it to the classroom. Or if they're all done writing their full fall story, they can go ahead and hit publish. When they hit publish, they get to choose who gets to see their work. Regardless if they choose classmates, I have my settings to where I have to approve it. So even if they click classmates, I still have to approve before it will be posted publicly. So if they're done, they hit publish because I want the classmates to see their work. Then they'll go back on to the home screen. Now mine's making me look like a liar because I said I have to approve their comments, but if you notice, we're in my view and there's no way to put blocks and security settings on the teacher account who's going to really watch and approve my things. As the teacher, I should know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So that's why you're seeing the fall in the comments posted right here instead of nothing, because I'm on the teacher view. But if the student did it, they would not instantly see their work pop up. So anyway, what students can do is they can go on looking to see who posts what by their last name. They can click on maybe their friend's post, and then they can add comments to their work below. They could say, oh, awesome post, you did a good job. As I told them in the directions, I wanted 2 stars, meaning 2 things they did good, and 2 wishes, 2 things that they wish they did good. Or if they want, I always allow them to write their work on the comment section of the directions. The only bad thing about this is you do not know based on the comments. It will say how many comments there are. Like if you look down here, they say there's 4 comments. We don't know if those 4 comments are for me or if they're 4 comments for Joe or 4 comments for Bob. We have no clue. Whereas if the students do private posts, we know that this is 4 comments for me, not 4 comments for Bob or Joe. So that's the difference. A lot of students like doing it this way because they know these comments are for me. When they do their fall post, say a few kids edited but they looked and left comments for the students. The students of the author can read the comments, and what they can do is maybe somebody wrote a comment that said, you know, Miss Am, I really liked your work, but you're lacking detail on the 3rd sentence. So the student, the author, can come back to their post and they can go to publish, drop it down, and they can, they can go to edit, and they can go ahead and edit their work. So as I said, they need more detail. Fall as well. You know, obviously it's not a complete sentence. But then they can make the revisions that their teammates offered them, and then they can update it. Yet again, maybe they want more comments because they feel that this is a good paper, but I'm not ready to show my teacher yet. So they can still ask for their classmates' help, or they can choose to send it to me and I know that they're ready for a conference, and that's when I'll be able to go ahead and talk with them and discuss what they need to do from there. So the good thing about this is my students always have the option to keep revising, re-editing, making it polished and nice. And then they also have help from more than just me. As I said, I was thinking about doing it where I would say on Tuesday we all check the blue group's paper. Wednesday we all check the pink groups. Because this way they have more comments from more students, and that just means extra eyes. So I was thinking that might be helpful. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. As I said too in my other PowerPoint, to show you that I do use my Kid blog for other subjects. This is obviously writing. This down here was our social studies articles that I made my students do throughout the year. There's some health in here that they chose to do. Some of these my students just did as extra homework at home. It would be a Saturday night. They were bored and they would just write, which is awesome. That's what I want them to do. So that's why I keep mine up and I leave it open for my kids all the time, but nobody can see what the kids are writing until I approve it, which is a good idea. As I said too, when you're doing this, the things you think that you need to teach your kids, you don't really need to worry because they always find and figure out how to do things that you don't even teach them, such as I did not teach my students how to do avatars, and if you look at some of them, they have avatars. Did not teach them how to do that. A few of my students figured out how to put pictures in their header. I did not teach them that either. So they will always figure out things in a way to do what they want to do, no matter if we teach them or not. I also wanted to pull attention really fast before I end this, that if students want to view all comments, a lot of my students do not like this feature, but if they want to view all comments and it tells them, you know, what one it belongs to, it's just a faster way, they can see who posted what for what writing. So this is the fall writing, and this is my comment, who's it from. I always tell my students too, when they're doing posts or comments or anything, they always need to write who is it to and who wrote it, so that way we know, especially when we're coming comment-wise on an assignment. It's kind of confusing for everybody. But that's what I want my students to do. As I said, it's been successful. I don't have one, well, I do have one maybe down here. This was one boy's paper that he wrote. So this is something he did over the weekend. And then if you look down here, people wrote comments about what he did good and what they really liked, and so they just liked having that option of being able to post and comment on their friends. So it really does work. So that's how I want to use Kids Blog in my classroom, and this is how it would work for the writing. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about how to work right about this. First thing the teacher needs to do is download the application on their iPad. I'm doing just a sample on my computer screen because I'm having some trouble screencasting from the iPad here. But anyway, after they download the app onto their iPad, they click on it. This is what the home screen will look like, no matter if the student has an account or not. I want my students to go ahead and click on the search option, and when they click on the search option, they'll have a URL where they can type in, fall, and prompts will come up with fall. They can go to category, which will open up, and I have a picture of what that looks like. And it looks like this, and the students can click on the different categories for the different topics. And then when they click on them, go back to my other one here, they will get their writing prompt. So this is what their writing prompts look like. And, obviously they click a fall one, it's not going to be a surfer dude. And they can listen to the prompt, they can read it, look at the picture, whatever you want them to do. They'll click on write, and when they go on to write, they'll come onto a screen that looks something like this. This will be all blank until the student clicks on it and starts typing on it on the iPad. They also have an option that will be on the side here, that button that says record, and the students can go ahead and record their voice for other students to listen to, or they just want to type it and save it, that's fine. Once it's done, the app will ask the students if they want to save it, and if they have an account, they can go ahead and save it and email it to themselves for them to send to maybe like the Kid Blog, or if they don't, they can go ahead and just keep it on there for future references. As I said, I'm not making accounts for my students. They'll have to write on pencil and paper because it's just not a convenience for me to let them type on there. And that's how you use the app right about that.